Good morning, students. Welcome to ARK Reflections IAS newspaper analysis of the day. And when we look into today's newspaper, very important and very unique news, which Trump, what he has said, Trump declares the end to truce, but says he will let the talks go on. So there is some interesting development which happened in the Strait of Hormuz and the West Asian region. So what are the important developments there? So Trump, he said end to truce agreement. So there is some temporary agreement which is taken place between the both like Iran and the US. That is 60 days MOU. The 60 days MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding Agreement, the temporary peace agreement which happened between the Iran and US for 60 days has completely cut down. Okay. And next, on the other side, what he said, Trump allowed talks to continue. But Trump allowed talks to continue. So he just squashed and he said that we are not going to follow this truce agreement, and the truce agreements came to end. But he allowed on the parallel side, he allowed the permanent peace talks. So permanent peace talks to continue. So why the Trump has announced this one, and why the situation suddenly changed in the West Asia or in the Iran, like especially the Strait of Hormuz, this side. Just let's go a little deeper. Okay. So we all know at the June 19th. So this agreement has signed. So according to this agreement, the Iran has to open the Strait of Hormuz. So the Iran has to open the Strait of Hormuz. So we know this is the Strait of Hormuz. So here we have the Oman. So here we have Oman, and here we have Iran. So this is Strait of Hormuz. So the point of conflict and why the Trump has to take this decision to end this temporary truce agreement lies here. So the incident which happened on the day before yesterday. The day before yesterday, what happened? So according to that agreement, so Iran should allow the ships to pass. Iran should allow the ships to pass. But what happened here? So Iran has prepared one dedicated corridor. Iran has prepared one dedicated corridor to allow the ships to pass. So Iran has opened one dedicated shipping corridor. So only all the ships should follow this corridor. But what happened? There are three ships. There are three ships. And these three ships, what they did, they followed their own corridor on the side of Oman. So which he didn't like by Iran. So which it was not, so Iran was not okay with it. So to follow their own course of passage. So what the Iran has done, or bombed these ships. Iran has bombed these three ships. Iran has bombed these three ships. So here the conflict again started. This is the trigger or the rupture of the recent clash. So what the US, these ships belongs to Qatar. And what US has done as a response to that, it bombed the Iran. And what Iran has done, Iran has bombed US bases in Gulf. US bases in Gulf. So this is the scenario what happened, right? The memorandum of understanding, day before yesterday, what happened? So as per the memorandum of understanding, Iran has opened its course, but it also said that the ships which is passing through the Hormuz, they should only follow the dedicated corridor which is maintaining by the Iran. But three ships, they have taken their own course of action. As a result, the Iran, what it has done, it bombed these three ships. It bombed these three container ships. And as a result, so US has bombed the Iran. And the Iran has bombed the US targets in the Gulf. So this is the situation, and that is the reason why, again, so they cancelled the true means now the Trump has came to an opinion that Iran every day it is violating this agreement. So again, that is the reason why he has said that this temporary peace agreement is a nullified. Like there is no more will follow this agreement. But the parallel talks for the permanent peace is happening. Okay. Next important article we'll see. So here we can see one important article. Russian oil share in India imports rises. So what the author is like, what the article is telling, Russian oil imports is rising. So usually India, it imports 60% of its oil resource from the Gulf. 60% of its oil from the Gulf. And because of the present situation, as just we discussed, which is not going good with the Strait of Hormuz, so India is trying to diversify its energy procurement basket. Its energy basket, it want to diversify its resources. So where they can import. So as part of that, so it is importing from the Russia again. Now it reached the Russian imports of oil again. It reached the 42%. Very important. 42% it has reached, and plus it is also buying the oil from the Venezuela. Very important, because recently after the Venezuela crisis, the US government has given the permission for the Venezuela to supply the oil to India. Is balancing the gravitational push. But during the time of the rainfall, at present, what is happening? This is the reason why the landslides will happen. These rock boulders or the rocks, and the vegetation will be down, and also the friction also will be down, because there is nothing to hold. As the rain withers away all the friction, all the soil between the rocks, and the rocks are very smooth now, like just like a rain is like a grease. So these will tremble and they will fall into the downside, and the gravity effect is also very high. So as a result, what happened? All the homes or all the infrastructure downside of this hills and all, it will get damaged. That is what happened in the Wayanad. And there are multiple reasons for why these landslides will originate. Landslides mostly comes from the two important sources. One is human sources and one is the natural. So now we are discussing about the natural, like the heavy rainfall, earthquake, heavy rainfall, earthquake, even the glacier burst. So these kind of the reasons in the naturally why the landslides are come. In the classical case of the Wayanad, the reason was the heavy rainfall. And when it comes to the human induced impact, the human induced causes mainly by the nuclear testing and infrastructure development. So these are the reasons why the landslides will come, and these are the two main important reasons. That is the same case with the Wayanad, Kerala's Wayanad landslides. Okay. Next important article we'll discuss about this revolution to resurgence, Iran's strategic movement. So this is the very important article. So what the author is telling. So you can see here. No, it's okay. What the author is telling, Iran in 1979, it has seen the Islamic Revolution. So what are the reasons? During that time, the Iran was ruled by monarch Reza Shah Pahlavi. And he's a very strong and very good friend of US. And the West. He's very good friend of US. But in 1979, what happened? The people came for the protest. Protest for what? Protest for the national identity, Islamic governance. So the main reasons for the Islamic revolution was national identity, Islamic governance, and more than thing. So national identity and Islamic governance. The third important thing was economic and social justice. Economic and social justice. These are the reasons why one, two, and these are the three main reasons for the cause of the 1979 Iranian Revolution. So that time the people stood very strong that we need the Islamic governance or we need the Islamic government. As a result, who came into the power? Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. So he came into the power in the 1979. So what the author is telling, author has explained this thing. This is what happened in the 1979, and now, even now, at present, he called the present situation as a revolution 2.0 in the Iran. Why he called the Iran is in the revolution 2.0? Because not just like Venezuela, Iran is very different ballgame. So what he explained here, because of this attack, the national identity became strengthened. National identity has strengthened. And the present government has survived. The present government has survived. And they have increased the grip. They have increased the grip on Strait of Hormuz. Even after the almost like 40 days plus attacks on the Iran, still Iran able to survive from the US attacks. Still the Iran able to survive clearly from the US attacks, because these are the things. So everyone expected Israel and the US has both expected that. So there might be a chance of the regime change. They want the regime change, but it didn't happen. People's support for the country's support for the country's leadership has grown significantly. Now they came into the same single line of national identity. That is one reason. And the regime, it has survived. Even they are eliminating the multiple levels of the leadership. They are eliminated, like the US and the Israel, they eliminated the multiple levels of the leadership. But very quickly, it got, very fastly it has resupplied, and the regime didn't happen. Like it shows very without any proper cracks. Even with some proper cracks, it able to survive the US attacks. And the third important thing, because of this conflict, so Iran became to aware that it can control the Strait of Hormuz, or it can show its grip on the Strait of Hormuz. So this is the important developments from the by the author is calling the revolution 2.0. If the peace deal signs, what happens? The Iran's market will increase. Sorry. Iran market will increase. In market share will open. So it will benefit the India. So whenever the peace deal has signed, Iran's economy will be in a very good stage. And what are the benefits for India? And when we see the present situation, the India centric. So India has multiple benefits. One thing is, so Iran has lots of oil and gas. Iran has lot of oil and natural gas reserves, and even India wants lot of oil and natural gas reserves. Definitely, Iran will be a natural friend, as we have some cultural ties, historic ties, or whatever. But definitely, even now we have seen that India is started to buy the Iranian oil. Okay, so in this case, to achieve the energy security. To achieve the energy security, definitely Iran will help. And the second important reason, access to Afghanistan and Central Asia, because obviously we are surrounded by what? Pakistan and China. So it's very difficult for us to reach the Central Asia through the land border or through the Afghanistan by the land border. So what is the best opportunity? That is Iran. So with the Iran's and the development of this Chabahar port, India will get the stability in the Strait of Hormuz, because the Strait of Hormuz became very important even for India. India imports nearly 60% of its gas imports from this region. So the stability is very important, and to maintain a good diplomatic ties with Iran is topmost priority as of now. And the fourth important thing is our diaspora. So we have the huge number of diaspora, even in the crores of in the number of like multiple lakhs of diaspora is living in the Gulf region. And it's not just about the diaspora, it's also about the forex remittances, the remittances they are sending into the India. So even both cases, like Iran becomes very important partner. Okay. Next important article we'll see. So this is what he's telling. He's telling that the revolution 2.0 is happening because why? The Iran people have stood very strong towards and supporting their present government. And this regime also, it able to survive the US attacks. Even they eliminated the multiple layers of their leadership. Okay. So next important article we'll discuss. So this is very important. So as Prime Minister, our Prime Minister Modi is in the 3 nations tour. He is going to Indonesia, Australia, and New Zealand. As part of the first, he went to the Indonesia. In the Indonesia, especially, he visited the Prambanan Temple. The Prambanan Temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Prambanan Temple So Prime Minister Modi is visiting this place. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And to restore this temple, as we see in the pictures, it's not in a very great conditions. To restore this temple, so India and the Indonesia, they both are coming together to restore this temple. And from the Indian side, Archaeological Survey of India is participating to bring back the life to the temple, this Prambanan temple. Okay, very important. And this Prambanan temple is located in the Yogyakarta province, and Java. It's in the Java island. Very important. Okay. So next important article we'll see. So here we can see here, DRDO conducts a successful flight test for the Pinaka rockets. Pinaka rockets is a multi-barrel rocket launcher type of rockets. Pinaka multi-barrel rockets, and it has a range. It's an area domination weapon. Area domination weapon means if you want to demolish a large area of your enemy, so you can continuously use these rockets to bombard that region. So as part of that, the extended range MBRL is tested by DRDO. That is name is Pinaka. Very important for the prelims perspective. So next important thing, here we can see over 42% rise in the female enrollment in higher education since 2014. Here we can clearly see the stats. Here at least we can just discuss these stats. So what they are telling, India's higher education sector has recorded significant growth. Significant growth has recorded. Even the gender parity index, the one of the great thing is the gender parity index, the GPI, means the male to female ratio in the class is so female ratio to male ratio, which means 1.08, sorry, 1.08. The 1.08 is very good gender parity index. In the gender parity index, what happened in the 1.08, the number which clearly indicate that the female students are more than the male students. Female students are more than their counterparts. Female students are more than their counterparts. That's very interesting news. The total enrollment in many areas, the overall gender equality ratio has gone completely up. So the female enrollment is 42.2%. 42.2%. Very important and very interesting ratio. And the overall GER in 2014 and 2015 is 23.7%, and now at present 22 and 23 is 29.5%, and especially female GER is 22.9, and now it has significantly increased to 30.2, which means that people are educating their girls more. At present, simply I can tell people educating their girl child much more comparing to the last 10 years. There might be multiple reasons why the economical stability has increased and the government schemes are increased, and making them educated becomes easy, and also the midday meals and also the breakfast scheme, these kind of things are there. School education, especially the government school education, become very affordable, and people are getting, and the parents are getting educated, and they're treating their girl child as equal with the boy child. So these are the simple reasons why the girls enrollment ratio in the education has increased significantly, as well as in the STEM fields. STEM fields means the science related fields. Even the science related fields, their enrollment has significantly increased. And here, India added 52.5 MPTA regasification capacity. This is very important. So India added 52 MPTA, a million tons per annum of regasification capacity across 8 terminals, as it surpassed Spain to become the 4th largest market of regasification. So what is this? IGU World LNG report. IGU World LNG report. So what this report is telling, India's regasification has increased significantly, and it became the 4th country in the world. It became the 4th country in the world which has the largest regasification capacity. What does it mean, the gasification? What does it mean by the regasification? Usually here they are discussing about the one gas called natural gas, LNG, liquefied natural gas. In the liquefied natural gas, the important component, natural gas. What is the natural gas? 85 to 90% it is methane. 85 to 90% it is methane. Okay. In the India's regasification, the natural gas contains 85 to 90% methane. So to make it easily portable to travel, to make this gas to travel, so what they do, they liquefy. They liquefy. At how much degrees? 162 minus 162 degrees centigrade. If they are liquefying at minus 162 degrees centigrade, what's happened? This gas becomes 600 times smaller. 600 times small. Means it occupies the volume 600 times small. It occupies the volume 600 times small when it is liquefied. So when it is liquefied, the gas becomes small and it is easy to transport in the ships, especially in the ships. Easy to transport in the ships, right? Okay. So this is what, when they gasifies from the, when they liquefies, this is what happens to the natural gas, and it becomes a 600 times small. It occupies the less volume so that it can easily transport. And again, what they do, and again the transportation happened, and before the usage of this gas, and again they have to regasify. Again, we have to regasify from liquid to gas. This is called regasification. This is called liquid to gas. This is called regasification. Okay. So this is what happening. But do you anytime you got curious that why we are not using the LNG in our home? Why not LNG in home? Why we use home? We use LPG, that is butane and propane. Butane and propane. Okay, so we use the LPG in our houses, and LNG mostly they use in the industrial sectors, in the large scale like electricity generation, or the coal, or kind of even the urea generation. These are the places where they use the LNG. Why? Because the main problem here is they transport. It's not very portable. It occupies big amount of area, big amount of volume. So to make that volume means it's volumeless, it has to liquefy. It means it has to maintain at minus 162 degrees Celsius. For example, the gas cylinders which is in our home, that simple kitchen gas cylinders, they can't maintain minus 162 degrees Celsius easily, right? Can't maintain minus 162 degrees easily. So that's why we mostly use the LPG in our house, and the LNG they use for the industrial purposes. Okay. So yeah, these are the important news articles from today's news. Trump blasts NATO for rejecting efforts to claim Greenland. Okay. In the US, Iran ceasefire agreement falling apart. Yes. So these are the important news articles of today, and we'll meet tomorrow with the tomorrow's news articles. And thank you. Subscribe for future updates.